What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. This is the first time in my life having a podcast as a platform while going through a political season, an election year. And I'm not a very political person. I have no interest at all other than like the geopolitics of it that affects the markets. But it's very difficult to avoid these political conversations around this time of year, this time of every 4 years, I guess. It seems like everyone wants the opinion of everyone else to ultimately figure out where that person stands or what box to put them in or what opinion to have of them. And it's actually quite interesting to watch this and quite tricky to navigate these discussions without pigeonholing yourself into standing for one thing or another. And I'm never against something to stand for, but only if you actually stand for it. And you know, the whole man who stands for nothing falls for anything. So I'm all for taking a stance. But one of the laws of power is to not commit to one side, to any side, except for yourself. So even though I'm all for taking a stance, my only problem is that too many people have casual stances, take up casual opinions that are not actually their own, but will express them so freely that they then become defined by the things that they haven't really fully thought through. And that's what I'm advising you against. And that's the thought that made me want to talk about this today. I was having this discussion with my close friend Andrew yesterday, and it's one of our many long conversations, which we have said for years that our conversations should be podcast episodes in themselves. But while we have always failed to capture our organic conversations, I'm sure the exercise in speaking to each other throughout the years is the reason we both have the need to have our own podcast today. And go check out his and his girl's podcast called Meaningful Hearts. How we have our conversations relates very much to how to handle most political discussions that you are pulled into during this time. Now, we are extremely close friends, and that means there's no harm between us if we say something stupid or share dark humor or say things that are not things that you can easily say to everyone else. You probably get canceled for some of the things that we say to each other. But you would think that this would also give us the liberty to be careless with our words and to accept lazy thinking and to go along with each other on certain topics or easily resonate with the rest of the world and repeat whatever we've heard as if it's our own thought. But the reason I think we have a deep relationship is because we do the exact opposite. Anytime any of us doesn't understand something or hasn't formed enough of an opinion on it, we share what we know in the most neutral of ways while leaving open the possibility of being wrong. When one of us says something that is a good point, even if it's counter to what we were arguing for, we usually stop and say, yeah, that's probably right. And it will be something we'll discuss and take away to think about. Again, and probably the most safest of relationships, we don't abuse that safe space by using it to spew nonsense to each other or be the horn of societal talking points. We actually walk away from most conversations having learned something or challenged a belief we might have already had. And now, while this may be difficult to do with everyone, what I'm suggesting is this. Stop being so quick to take a stance. Stop picking sides or stop showing what side you're on. If you actually get pulled into any political or any other type of discussions, no matter how close you are with someone, if your intent is to actually learn something, the sooner you take a stance and show your hand, the less likely you are to hear the actual honest opinion of the person in front of you. What they will actually start doing is take your direction and guide and start censoring their thoughts or catering them to what they think appeals to you based on whatever you have revealed about yourself. And again, remember, what you are revealing or taking a stance on, chances are, for the majority of us, we haven't even done the actual full thinking behind it. If you can honestly admit that to yourself. So double whammy for you, because your half committed stance towards something becomes the defining thing in the mind of another person about you. And now whatever you get out of them was solicited by your blind stance and biased and hidden the other parts that may also resonate with you, much of which you may not even be aware of. And you'll never get to be aware of all these other sides of this person because they started catering themselves to the little things that you showed them that you don't even really believe in. Now, sure, if you want to do this in your personal life with the other soccer moms and soccer dads, go right ahead. The stakes are not high enough for it to really affect you, other than narrow the kind of people you'll connect with. But be extremely cautious when doing this in any professional arena. And again, it is your prerogative of what you want to be known for. It's up to you. Remembered for. What business you want to take on or what target audience you want to eliminate. That's all up to you. To a certain extent, you will alienate a group of people when speaking to another group in your marketing, in your sales messaging. And that's totally fine. And up to you completely. No one can tell you how to run your business. The only thing I'm pointing out is that you need to be doing this at least consciously and should be aware of how you are being perceived and if that matches with the desired effect that you are actually trying to have. In my opinion, what makes a person seem like the most reasonable of human beings that most people would want to get along with is their ability to see nuance, to not take a stance unless they have really developed their thinking and passion towards a topic. Until then, it's more of an asset to see things from a neutral standpoint, to be able to see the shortcomings, the pitfalls, and the benefits of both sides, to recognize the effort on both ends and the challenges ahead for both parties. Any person who can have an objective discussion about something as inflammatory as politics or religion, both topics we're taught to avoid for the most part. But if you have the ability to see and express yourself in a dignified manner and openly share your struggles with the level of understanding you have or don't have, and be as sophisticated or as simple and plain as needed, if you can remain neutral and not jump to one side, you will be more likely to have more doors open to you, more hearts you can influence, more people who will look to you as an example of how to think without being polarizing. You will allow others to see how not everything has to be divisive. And you might even soften their approach. Whether it's an election year, politics exists everywhere. Your corporate job, your organization, your local church, even the HOA of your building. Everyone is using shorthand for their thinking. Everyone is tiptoeing or playing the game of impression management. Everyone has an agenda. There's a constant push and pull then to try to get you to reveal yourself so they know how to deal with you. And instead of satisfying their desire by revealing a one-sided friend or foe, reveal people to themselves by using your words carefully, artfully. Reveal people to themselves by using your words like art. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.